So in this video, we will look at the last part or last participant on the financial market. As I said, we're discussing the financial structure. We cannot forget about one of the most important player, that is government. So do we really need the government to control the whole financial market? The answer is no. So no, we do want the financial market to run by themselves and have their own structure. However, the government has to also play a very important role to set a regulation. So we learned a lesson from the previous financial crisis, 1933 and 2007 to 2008. So before 1933, so the financial markets go freestyle, so almost no government regulation. And however, that's what happened during the Great Depression. And so the government started to intervene on the financial market, but it's still pretty loose. So that's what happened between 2007 and 2008. So the loose regulation from the government and indirectly causing the financial crisis. So we learned the lesson. But as I said, we also don't want the financial market run by the government. So that is a wrong way to run the financial market. So the best way to intervene the financial market is set a good regulation to help the financial intermediary, to help the borrower lender to maintain a healthy financial market. So the rule of thumb here is being a regulator. The ultimate goal are following two. First, try to reduce the adverse selection and moral hazard problem. So as we discussed, what are the adverse selection, moral hazard? So they are the main problem fixing the financial intermediary. So financial intermediary plays such an important role in the financial market, help to facilitate the financial transactions. So that's why it's very important to assist the financial intermediaries to avoid or to reduce adverse selection and moral hazard problem. And the second regulation will relate to the inside trading. And again, it's related to the information as well. So when we look at the stock investment, if somebody knows inside information, which is has a comparative advantage on the investors, so they will be able to move ahead to make more money. So this creates unfairness on the market. So that's why the regulation, the government play a very important role to reduce inside trading. Actually, based on U.S. law, the inside trading is considered a white collar crime. So sometimes they are facing jail time and a huge fine. And so like I said, to reduce the adverse selection and the moral hazard is try to assist the financial intermediaries. And so what the corresponding method the government has used to reduce the adverse selection and moral hazard. So here's the following. Following method has been implemented. First, restriction on interest. So they are trying to chartering the process. So not everybody say I want to open a bank, so you'll be able to do it. So actually the government has a regulation on who can join the financial market being a financial intermediate. And the second is they will try their best to disclose of information, and they will have the rating system, and the government will help the financial intermediary to find information to avoid adverse selection and moral hazard. And also the government will have set a restriction on asset and activity and try to control holding of the risky asset. So the government try to avoid to let the financial intermediary holding the risky asset. And also if the commercial bank belong to the federal system, and so they are all required to purchase the deposit insurance and try to avoid the bank run away. So that's what happened in 2007 and 8. Some commercial banks they just filed bankrupt because they lending too much money that cannot get it back. So they just filed bankruptcy and run away. And so in order to avoid those situations, and almost all commercial banks require to purchase deposit insurance to avoid sudden the fatal financial crisis happening. The bank still can pay the depositor money back. And also the government try to limit on competition, and so such as avoid different kind of the banks, and instead they are allowing them to branching out. So branching out, and also they are impose a restriction on the interest rate. And so if you have extra time, And I highly encourage you to read the rest of the chapter regarding different kind of the regulation agents. And especially if you plan to work in the financial world, you have to know who are in charge, who are set up the rule, who will be the referee on this financial market, and who will assist the health of the financial market. And so that's the end of this chapter.